been counting down the days to get out. I've been looking for a way from this town. And you're too far away to help me now. So I'm counting down the days to get out. 'Cause I need to learn to forget everything that drags me down. I need to forget everything inside me now. Full speed ahead, far from the end. So I'm full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. I've been staring at the sun in my eyes. I've been keeping on the run every night. But you're too far away to see the signs. So I'm staring at the sun till I'm dry. 'Cause I need to learn to forget everything that drags me down. I need to forget everything inside me now. Full speed ahead, far from the end. So I'm full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. Full speed now. Full speed, got the pedal down. Full speed now. Yeah, 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 yeah. Full speed now. Full speed, got the pedal down. Full speed now. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm counting down the days to get out. 'Cause I need to learn to forget everything that drags me down. I need to forget everything inside me now. Full speed ahead, far from the end. So I'm full speed ahead. Full speed ahead. Full speed ahead.
The FC United lineup for this afternoon, the team versus Newcastle United. FC have set up in a 5-2-2-1. In goal is Chloe Ainsworth. You've got a back central three of Georgia Trail-Scott, Chelsea Patient and Emily Marsh. Corey Mather is at right wing back. You've got Anya Donnellan at left wing back. The holding two, we've got Kerry Ogden and Kate O'Gara. Liv Smith and Ellie Rigby just slightly in front of that, and Keely Goodwin up front. So a little bit different this week from Tom Fitton. He's gone with a slightly different system to FC usually play. This is due to a mixture of sort of injuries and a couple of COVID absences as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the team get on today. Coming up against a strong Newcastle United team that are currently sat second in the league. FC are down in seventh. So we look forward to the game. We look forward to seeing how the club get on. And yeah, hopefully it should be a fantastic game.
All the best. Cheers, mate. All the best. That's it. Keep fighting up there. That's it. Okay. Get with her. Get with her. Come on.
Ball all day. Back three, right of Chelsea.
Take your name and number.
I don't think I've run as much as maybe.
Straight swap.
Yeah. Steph will come in here with you and Riggs. Tell me when you're good.
Turn it off.
All right.
A difficult day at the office today, James. How would you summarise today's game?
Terrible. That's God's honest truth. I think we fell apart, completely fell apart from the start. I think this has shown like a bit of a magnifying glass on our team and kind of the work we need to do with our mentality. And I'm not going to shy away from it because we're doing a bit of an interview. I think there's people in the team who, the minute we go one goal down, they completely just give up on the game. And I think when you're coming away to teams like Newcastle United, you've got to expect that. Listen, we might go 1-0 down, we might go 2-0 down, but we've still got to have a bit about us, show some character and still keep and stay within the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, thinking about the game, you talked there about character. What can you sort of take away from this thing? Because obviously, we're looking to move forward, but you're going to go back to training, working it. But there's spells, and I said it earlier. There's good 10-15 minute spells at times. Where you got the ball down, you played. But what are you taking overall from this sort of moving forward?
I think for me, when we changed things, we went 2-0 down quick, and we made some errors, we made some mistakes. But we went to a 5-2-3 system, and we left 3 forwards. and that did create a bit of chaos for them. That they had to then change and adjust their system, and it took Newcastle probably 15-20 minutes where they didn't even really have a chance because they were trying to adjust. But those periods of time where we adjusted, we didn't capitalise then. Like we got a foothold in the game then, we didn't take it. So I think let's go away, let's have a look at that system. It's not something that we've been drilling a lot. It was more of an ad hoc thing that we did within the game. But for me, like I said, we need to go and work on our togetherness. Like we need to go and sit down. We've got a derby game next week against Stockport. Yeah. Like this is a big one. Like it's a big game for us. And for me, I've already been saying it. This is a must-win game for us. Like we need to go out there and we need to put some goals past Stockport. They're not in the best situation themselves at the minute. They're without a manager. Like this is a good time for us to play them. But for us, we need to dust ourselves off now. I think if you look at the men's game, teams don't turn up at the Etihad each week to play Man City and expect to win. Like we've got to get into our heads, and I think this is with it being a newly reported team. We've not adjusted to the fact that we're not going to win every single game. Like when we were playing in Tier 5, we were expecting every single game we were going to smash teams 5-6-0. We've not adjusted properly to this new league where it's going to be tight, games are going to be difficult, and because of that, you've seen us getting beat 6-0, 8-0, 10-0. Or we're winning games where we're winning them convincingly. It's never in between. It's never a 2-1 or a close 1-1 game. We've not drew a game. Yeah, it says a lot. Yeah,
like you say, there's been times where, like you say, it's either been a win or a defeat. But I think, like you say, games like this ultimately, like you mentioned, they're not going to define the season. You are going to come here and it's going to be difficult. Newcastle are flying, and we can give them a little bit of credit for that. And I think another thing as well, obviously, it's first game back after a 4-week break. I mean, I don't want to sit here and put excuses out there, but it's difficult. Obviously, it's been difficult with COVID as well, and people only just coming back. Going to look ahead then, sort of next week, like you said, big derby game, Stockport County at Broadhurst Park. You mentioned there about a couple of trouble that Stockport have had, but what do you think in terms of reflecting now and looking back on today? Obviously, like you said, you're getting analysed, but what are you looking for next week other than obviously a reaction? What do you want to see?
Yeah, it's cliche to say a reaction, isn't it? Like, we need to be better. Let's not take nothing away from Newcastle. These are a good side. Like they're a good side. They've got some good players, especially some of the forwards. Like that, some of them goals today were naughty. Like I was like, okay, fair play. She's just whacked that in there. But let's. Did you see any us win 1v1? Did you see us win one ball in the air? I don't think I seen a side tackle until Ash came on in 65-70 minutes in. Like we didn't see any tackles. Like we can't do the basics or not do the basics and expect to win football matches. Like you've got to win it. It comes down to these 11 people on the pitch, and it's 11 versus 11. And your 11 have got to be better. You've got to win your battles. You've got to win your 1v1s, and we didn't do any of that today. We didn't do any of that. The basics were completely missing. I mean, Tom talked about it a minute ago where we said you could summarise our performance there if you literally looked at the things that we did do, like and it's literally on one hand. Like Sophie came on, skinned the player in the middle of the park. Ash came on, big tackling. Like that's about it. Like that's about the extent of our performance today, and it's one to forget. Like, and I feel sorry for fans who came down and travelled all this way today. Like that's a difficult journey. That like to go back after watching a team do that.
Yeah, fair credit to obviously, like you say, the fans that travelled. I want to get you to pick a player of the match because I think I've got a player in mind, and I think for me, Ellie Rigby. I don't know if you agree. I'll let you pick, but Ellie had a quality game for me in the middle. It's difficult after a defeat like this, but if there's somebody that maybe stuck out for yourself that you want to sort of put forward.
Do you know what? I want to say this, and I think I was thinking about going with Ash because I think she was busy when she came on, but I'm actually going to go with Beth Hayes. For me, like I'm probably Beth's harshest critic. Like and we're pals and stuff like that, we're mates, and she'll probably slag me off to high heaven and behind closed doors because I'll have to stick a give her. But when she came on today, she had a bit of fight about her. She had a bit of energy, and she wanted the ball. She demanded it. She was fighting for it. She was getting stuck in, and I think for that, like she probably my pick for the day. It was close between her and Ash, but like you say, Ellie did well as well. But I liked a bit of fight, like for me, and it's probably the wrong thing, but if my team ever went behind, I'll be the first person to empty someone all over the pitch. I'll be the first person to stick a big tackle in and change the mentality. And I think Beth came in today and she thrown herself about a little bit and she tried to make a difference, and you've got to applaud her for that.
Good afternoon. I'm here with Gareth. We have got post-match thoughts. FC United played Newcastle United away at Druid Park this afternoon. An unfortunate day, really. I think, score finished 10-0. It was difficult, being honest. I think, FC struggled to sort of gain any real momentum. Normally you'd see them playing out from the back. I think today they mixed it up. Didn't really come off too well. There was sort of, I think I spoke to the assistant manager, James, after the game, and he was sort of saying, about getting the basics right. And I think, he was spot on, getting the basics right, getting some passes together, trying to work some patterns of play. I think FC, found it difficult, but they did come up against a very strong Newcastle side. Obviously, myself and Gareth were at the first game that finished 6-0. And I think it's just one of those days where, you look at it and there was some very good goals. Obviously there was a few FC mistakes, but there was some very good goals scored. And I think, you've got to give credit in that respect to Newcastle. They are flying. They were well organised. And it was one where every FC mistake kind of was punished. Gareth, I'm going to bring you sort of in on your sort of discussion and your thoughts on the game, and then we can sort of get into it a little bit more. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think quite simply, it looked as though one side had a month without playing football, and one side looked as though it was pretty seamless. Obviously there were kind of issues throughout the I don't want to say winter break, it wasn't really a break, but throughout the Christmas break, there was issues with COVID and stuff like that, but that's not really an excuse. I think James mentioned they didn't really do the basics right, and it came back to bite them, and they were kind of punished. Kind of sloppy things. An own goal is obviously disappointing, sort of regardless of what the circumstances are around it. But it was a different lineup. But I think we don't just want to kind of sit here and hammer the negatives. It's pretty obvious that things were wrong. When you get beat 10-0, it's obvious that there are things wrong. But I think when they changed things around, Tom pretty early on, I think they were 2-0 down or something, and changed it around. So Liv Smith went out wide, and Ellie Rigby kind of came out wide as well. And they had a period of 10, 15 minutes or so. That kind of second quarter of the game was, they were on top and had possession and territory, but just didn't really do anything with that territory. And again, in the second half, when you kind of mix things around a bit, Beth Hayes came on, Ash Hayes came on as well, and added that element of physicality, like James said. And they were on top for a bit there, but again, just didn't really kind of have any sustained territory in the game. Had the ball, but would just kind of give it away. So I think it's about, James mentioned this as well. It's about being able to make those adaptations, and when you're on top, see some kind of momentum in the game. If at 2-0 they're on top and get a goal, at 2-1 the game is completely different. That shifts the momentum, but then to kind of concede the third, and fair play. Some of the goals were fantastic strikes from outside the box that Chloe had absolutely no opportunity to save, and you think, when you look at the probability of scoring those goals, they're slim. Like few of them, I think, well, it didn't really mean that. But there were chances in the game to really seize it, particularly in that first half. By the time you're 4-0 down, the game's kind of gone. But there were opportunities in that first half where you think if you can grab something now, you can really grab the momentum of the game. And I think that's just that didn't happen. They didn't do the basics right, and then didn't when they've had brief periods of time when they're on top. A goal there really changed it, but it just didn't happen, and it ran away from them in the end. Confidence dropped, heads dropped, and Newcastle just kept going. They were relentless, and fair play to them.
Yeah, like you said, I think another thing that was mentioned yesterday, obviously after the game as well, was sort of the step up in league. Obviously last year they were winning every single week, and this year it's been a little bit different. And I think it's one of them where, I think James talked about sort of not underestimating anyone, because in this league anybody can beat anyone, and they've got to get used to, like you said, sort of adapting and playing teams like the likes of Newcastle. Let's not pulling the punches. Newcastle got a bigger budget. I was telling you, wasn't I, about players sort of coming in from Sunderland that are, a level above. So listen, obviously it's one of them where it didn't happen. It's one where I can sort of write off as a bad day at the office. But next Sunday they have got Stockport at home, another big game. what you making of that then? Because obviously James was telling us they're in a little bit of a wobble and a little bit of trouble. But what obviously there's a need for 3 points there. But being at home, what are you sort of expecting? Because obviously there is the old cliche we talked about bouncing back and things like that. But what you're expecting sort of from FC?
I think it's a derby as well, isn't it? So there's that added kind of sense of wanting to get a result. I think they're going to look at teams in and around where they are in the league and really want to smash them. And I think Stockport are going to be one of those sides. They are having a wobble at the moment. They haven't got a manager, so really good opportunity for some of those players that maybe didn't perform as well as they could do this afternoon to kind of really go next week and show that they deserve to be selected and earn that sort of place in the squad. There's a lot of players out for injuries, and what some of these girls will want to do is make themselves give Tom a headache. Give Tom a headache when these players come back in. I can't really drop this player because they absolutely smashed it when so and so was out injured. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting kind of overtraining this week for Tom and James to really drill into what went wrong, but also to kind of think, let's learn from it, but let's move on. I don't think they should be thinking about this game when it comes around to Stockport. It's a new game, a new opportunity for 3 points, and treat it as such.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And it's again something I said earlier on today about game against Newcastle isn't going to define your season. Like say let's go and get 3 points against Stockport. Gareth, thank you very much for joining me.
No worries.
See you all next game. Thank you.